You ever feel like your mind just never gives you a rest? It's almost like there's another little alien in your brain constantly trying to convince you of falsehoods, or rather, they speak little things in your brain and then you just believe them without even really questioning them. You believe them so quickly that you fall into the falsehoods as if they're truth immediately. Almost like a boss telling you what to do and you just have to do it. It can get so overwhelming. It can feel like there's no escape, almost like you're falling into quicksand, and the harder you try to fight it, the further down you go. I used to feel like this a lot, a lot. I felt this way so much that during the pandemic, I decided to stop looking outside myself for answers. Instead of asking others for help and, hey, can you help me decide what I should do about this situation in my life? I decided to look within myself. And so I spent the next year meditating every day. It was the best thing I ever did for myself. And while thoughts are still there, they're nowhere near as frequent. But my favorite thing is how I tackle them now. Because I don't sit there and believe the boss. I don't sit there and pull my hair out. I don't sit there and stress over the small things. Because I recognize that all of those things are just the boss trying to tell me what to do. The boss is the ego, by the way, if you haven't figured that out yet. The ego thinks that there's always something wrong. It's its job. It's what it's meant to do. It's just the boss doing what boss has got to do. The problem is we let that boss control our lives. We forget that we're the CEOs in this analogy. We are not the intern. We let the boss or the ego turn us into the intern. And the best way to snap out of this spell is to sit and meditate. At least that's what I've found. And if you develop that practice, then you can start to apply some of the things that guy said. Then your world gets real leveled up. The reason the meditation is helpful because it creates what's called mindfulness of thought. So when the boss starts chirping, you don't have to listen to him. You recognize that the boss is chirping and you disregard what they're saying or apply what the boss is saying in the situation to help you. Real simple. Here's a good example. You lose your job. The ego is going to freak out because you're going to need some money coming in, right, to live. That's a good thing. But with mindfulness of thought, if the ego starts chirping negative comments, things like you're not worthy of XYZ, you're never going to do this or that, you're not going to make enough money, you can be aware that the boss is saying falsehoods. It's only doing it because it's its job. It wants you to get a living, a job, money, whatever. But it's losing control of the situation. So you, being the CEO, you check that boss. You check the ego. Now, that's a very rare situation. Most of the time, we really don't need our ego, especially in today's world. We have plenty of food, plenty of water, shelter over our heads. Most of the time, you really don't need the ego. So what do we do then? Well, as we start to meditate more and develop that mindfulness of thought, the thoughts come less and less. And when they do come, we're able to acknowledge that they are there, passing. They are just a passing moment of existence. They are just another sensation, just another thing to observe. Now we're talking a bit more about some of the things he said. One of the things he said is that we are not our thoughts. We are not our emotions. We are not even our sensations. We're also not our mental formations, the things that we tell ourselves, those stories. We are not those either. And when we truly come to this understanding, there's one result that is always there, and that is peace. I think people think they want happiness. I thought that for a while, but I think what we really want is peace. And I think that everything we do in our lives is to attain that peace. And we may even be running from this attachment we have towards peace. We may be trying to find peace in materialistic items, fancy cars, and expensive trips. We can enjoy every moment of life with the right mindset, even the terrible ones. Maybe enjoy is the wrong word. We can be at peace with every moment.